Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Korean Atlanta Mentorship. And in this video, we're just going to do another velocity banking review. Did you know I am a self proclaimed velocity banking crack dealer? And the reason I am taking up this title is because all I do is do spreadsheets of me paying off debt doing this thing called velocity banking, and so many of you are watching this. 58,000 hours of watch time, and this channel has only been active since June 17, 2023. And so it's not, is it even 2 years old? I don't even know. I can't even do math, ironically, when I'm doing spreadsheets because the spreadsheet does the math for you. Remember back in elementary school where the teacher was like, you shouldn't use a calculator because you won't know how to do basic math? They were right about that. Anyways, let's figure out um, how much people have watched 58,000 watch hours. And did you know that in order to get monetized on YouTube, you only need 4,000 watch hours? I know, crazy, right? Like 4,000 watch hours a year. I did 58 in like 2 years. And let's just do the math, which is 400. Okay, 58,400 hours divided by 24. That's 2,433 days. We divide it by, okay, we divide it by, oh, I didn't even know that existed. 365, and that's 6.67 years of watch time within two. So humanity as a whole has watched more than 6 years worth of content of me literally doing these spreadsheets. Okay. And that's why I am the literal velocity banking crack dealer. In fact, I was asking ChatGPT some video ideas about how to script it, and this is what ChatGPT says. So I'll go ahead and play it. Um, I'm not really going to use ChatGPT's ideas because I like to say I put my own touch on things, but I do use ChatGPT almost like a consulting tool.
Sure. Here's a YouTube video idea for velocity banking crack that plays off the idea of how addicting the strategy can be when done right. Title: Velocity Banking is like crack. How to escape the debt trap fast. Thumbnail idea: a person looking shocked with money flying around. A cracked piggy bank with a velocity banking label on it. A graph showing debt disappearing rapidly. Video outline. Hook: once you try velocity banking, you never go back. It's like financial crack, highly addictive, fast, and dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. Quick before after example of debt disappearing using velocity banking. What is velocity banking? Breakdown of how the method works using HELOCs or credit lines, dumping income into a line of credit, paying off debt faster while freeing up cash flow. Why it's addictive, the high of seeing your debt drop fast, how it feels like hacking the system. Real life examples of people paying off mortgages in 5 to 7 years instead of 30. The dangers, don't OD on it. When it can go wrong, bad cash flow, overleveraging. The dealer problem, banks don't always like it. How to do it safely, rules of the game. How to start today. Step-by-step action plan. Resources, tools to get started. Call to action. Are you ready to escape the debt trap? Extras. Would you try velocity banking or is it too risky? Engagement question. Include success story clips or testimonials. Add a spreadsheet example for visuals. Would you like help scripting it or is this the kind of vibe you're going for?
All right. Well, this is a good way to create a YouTube video. Just ask ChatGPT. Because once you try velocity banking, you never go back. It's like financial crack. Highly addictive, fast, and dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. So let's go ahead and what kind of thumbnail am I using? Let me actually just look at my thumbnail and see what I got. Oh, okay. Okay. It's not exactly what ChatGPT says, right? Not a person shocked with money fly around, but we got this. Let's take a look. Money's not flying around, but it's everywhere. And here's our crack debt-free pills. You had no idea spreadsheets were this addicting. So let's go ahead and get started. All right. So what is velocity banking? All it is a debt payoff strategy where you throw all of your money into debt with the help of something called the line of credit. Now, let's say you make some decent money. Now, if you don't know how much $6,000 is after tax, that's like $100,000 salary. Now, I know some of you are hearing this and are shocked, and some of you are saying that's so little, right? Because let's face it, $100,000 is like not a lot these days, but it's a lot to a lot of people. Okay. $100,000. Now, here's the thing about debt. A lot of people, for some reason, equate debt with people not making a lot of income. I don't know why, but people do that. Like they ask questions like, well, what do you do if you don't make that much income? Newsflash, banks aren't going to lend to you. Okay. Banks like to lend to people who make money and are kind of bad at managing it, meaning that you're almost like Goldilocks, right? You don't want a person who pays off your debt too quickly because that's like the porridge being way too hot, right? And you don't want a person who never pays off the debt. And the ultimate sin to a bank is paying your debt 90 days late, right? That's like the ultimate sin. That's like the porridge being way too cold. You want a person who just really makes the minimum payment on time every single month. That's like the porridge being just right. Right? That's who banks lend to. Banks don't lend to poor people. They lend to people who don't need money and then eventually kind of like a blood-sucking leech will be able to suck their their money with interest payments, okay? That's who they lend to. So don't, when you're talking about realistic, like what are you talking about? 90% of people in this country can't even get a mortgage and we got a mortgage here. So if you want that, you got to make some income, right? All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So let's say we have an income of $6,100 and we have expenses of $6,231.30. And we are negative in the hole, negative $131. Remember back in the day when people were like, if I made six figures, my life would be sweet? Most people, okay, most people don't know how to handle their money. 50% of six-figure earners are paycheck to paycheck. Paycheck to paycheck, okay? And what society and the banking system expects you to do is just pay your bills out of your checking account and including all of your debts and leave the leftover in your savings. And what we're going to do with Velocity Banking is even though we have the same income and same expenses, okay? Same income, same expenses, we're not going to save money. We're deliberately not going to save money. This is an intentional choice. So, if you take a look here at my savings account, I don't have any money. I don't have any money, right? Money comes in, and then as soon as it hits the checking account, I'm moving into debt, aka the line of credit. All right. And so to get started with Velocity Banking, there's really only two things you need. Number one is a budget, right? So income, expenses, savings. This is the average American side. And you in your expense breakdown, you list every single debt that you have, every single one, right? Three credit cards, two auto loans, a student loan, a mortgage, and then your general expenses, which is food, gas, insurance, and all that other stuff. Okay. That's all you got to do. Now, in this velocity banking side, okay, same budget, same income, same expenses, but we're just redirecting the flow of money, right? We're just redirecting it. That's all it is. Okay. And what we're going to do is say, hey, instead of we paying our bills from our checking account and putting the leftover in savings, we're dumping all of our money into debt with the help of a thing called the line of credit. Now, what's a line of credit? All it is a financial tool where you could borrow money, pay it back, and then use it over and over again. So this is a home equity line of credit. Home equity line of credit. Now, what is a home equity line of credit? Basically, it's a tool where I could just borrow money up to $280,000 whenever I want, and the bank will charge me the 7.5% interest rate. $280,000, right? Now, there are other types of lines of credit. The most familiar ones is the credit card, obviously, but you can't use a credit card to pay anything, everything, right? Like you can't use a credit card to pay its own bill. But with a line of credit, if you got a $50 bill, okay, just borrow the $50 from the line of credit and put it back. Bill satisfied. Isn't that amazing? That is so crazy. I didn't know these products existed before I learned velocity banking. And the secret to getting lines of credit is to get it before you need it because banks don't lend money to people who need it. If they are looking at you running your credit report and they say, hey, you got a lot of debt, sir, ma'am. You got a lot of debt, and your negative cash flowing negative $131. They're gonna laugh at you, saying we're not gonna give you a line of credit. So you got to remember the secret. This is how I have almost $600,000 lines of credit. I think it's 594. In fact, I have so much I can't remember. I can't even remember how much I have. That's when you have rich people problems. Like, whoa, I got $600,000 in lines of credit. See, when you're poor, you know exactly how much credit you have. Like, I got a $5,000 credit card. Whoop de doo, right? Now that I've kind of know how to kind of play the credit game. Okay, I can't. Every time I get more credit, I honestly can't remember how much I have. I think right now it's 594,000. And probably the people who watch this channel remember more than I do, because every time I get a new credit card or a new line of credit, I feel compelled to make a new video, and then right after I make the video, I don't remember, what I talked about. It's like, "Oh, 594,000." It's like, "Wait, am I not at 600,000?" And the next thing you know, I'll be at 1,000,000, right? But here's the thing, it doesn't don't be so obsessed on the number. Focus on getting credit when you don't need it, because banks don't lend money to people who need it. And a lot of people try to fight this. It's like, "Listen, I'm not the bank. I'm not the one who makes the rules. But you know what? I did study, and I took a class called Understanding Credit." Right? And so I understand credit. Banks don't lend money to people who need it. Okay? They don't lend money to people who need it. And if you need money, they'll laugh you out of the bank or deny your application if you do it online. All right, so let's go ahead and imagine that we have access to, I don't know, we'll say $100,000 line of credit. I think 100,000 should be enough. And it's free and clear, but I'm going to tell you this is unrealistic because you're not going to get a free and clear line of credit. So what's the whole point of telling me that you can't, if you had a free clear line of credit, it's like if you had a car that crashed and you didn't insure it, and then you were trying, you would be wondering, like, man, it would be so sweet if I had an insurance policy, right? Same thing with credit. Like, it would be sweet if you had one of these, but you didn't because you effed up, right? So, but don't worry. That's why your velocity banking crack dealers here. All right. So what we're going to do is move some debt into the line of credit. So we have three credit cards, big ones, 20, 15, 27, 30. And how much is that? That's about $72,000 in credit card debt. Listen, let's see what happens when we do a balance transfer. 72,000 into the line of credit. Well, these go to zero, 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 right? And you were like, wait a minute. All we did was transfer debt, and we literally went from negative $131 in savings to not saving money to $2,261.20 in cash flow. And you're now probably thinking, I want some of that, right? That's where the addiction happens. That's where the addiction happens. Okay. It's like financial crack, highly addictive, fast, and dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. Financial crack, but you know what you're doing. And so it's not dangerous. Hopefully, you know what you're doing, right? 2,200. How do we go from here to here? When we go from here to here, that's the financial crack. That's where you realize, whoa, I didn't need to make more money. I did it. You see this income part, the green part, the income. Did we make more money? No, we just redirected the flow of it. Okay. And then the final step, okay, is you put your entire paycheck into that line of credit, take your expenses out, and then rinse and repeat over and over again. That's like the final step, right? You want to put your entire paycheck in, satisfies the minimum monthly payment. It minimizes the interest because the interest is calculated the average daily balance. You take off your expenses, $3,838. You take off your expenses, and then you rinse and repeat over and over again, $2,261.20. Okay, 2,260. How do we go from losing money to paying off debt? I don't know, but that's where the crack is, the financial crack, the velocity banking crack. It's so addicting, folks. This is why I can make the same video over and over again, and you see this, and you're like, "Oh, I wish I did this like 10 years ago." I first learned this in 2017, I think. Yeah, I think it was 2017. I don't remember anymore. That's what happens, right? You just do this over and over again. Become the Bruce Lee of this. Remember that Bruce Lee quote where he's like, "You do one kick 10,000 times." That's what I'm doing. I'm just, people complain on this channel are like, you do the same thing over and over again. And I was like, that's why you suck. That's why you suck, because you can't do the same thing over and over again. I am doing the same thing over and over again. All right. That's why self-proclaimed crack dealer and Bruce Lee aficionado of velocity banking. And so we're gonna go ahead and do this. So after every single month, the balance is gonna go down by $2,261. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. And then, all right, to get the next month's balance is based on the previous month's balance and interest minus the cash flow, right? So 2261.2. And then we're going to take the interest based on the average daily balance, right? Take the average, there's an average function here. Whoa, take a look at that. So it's about 70 grand, but don't worry, you don't pay 70 grand in interest. You multiply it by the interest rate. So my line of credit is actually 7.5%. That $280,000 line of credit you saw, 7.5%. Okay, now you divide it by 12. $472.46. Not bad. Not bad. It's the cost of borrowing money, but after every single month, look, just the balance goes down, the amount of interest we pay goes down, right? Pretty sweet. And then what you can do is if you want to really feel like you're not paying interest, start a YouTube channel and make about 200, 400 a month, right? That's what I'm doing. All right. So let's go ahead and do this. And then in 36 months, take a look at that. We paid off, okay? We paid off the debt in 36 months, 3 years, okay? 3 years. So let's go ahead and write this as our milestone, 3 years. Well, let's say 36 months, make it more exact. In our 70, how much is it? 72K credit card debt. 72K credit card debt. And then we have 4 of these loans, right? So how do we figure out after our credit card debts which ones we pay? Well, we got this loan calculator right here, okay? Let me reset it. But basically, if you have these 3 functions, right? Original balance, interest rate, and terms, right? Original balance, interest rate, and terms, you can auto spit the payment and auto spit the current balance, right? And then if you just type in the current month, which is 36, look at that. Okay. And then where do we go from here? Well, it becomes easy. All we gotta do is run a formula called the cash flow index, balance divided by monthly payment, right? Spits out a number, use it as a ranking system, and the lower the number, that's the one you want to pay off. Much easier to figure out than just solely focusing on the interest rates. And I have a live stream where somebody sent me a spreadsheet with 22 debts. And I remember if I did not have this thing called the cash flow index, I would be so overwhelmed figuring out which debts to pay off first. 22 debts. Okay. So if you have this cash flow index, much easier. It's a ranking system, right? So I'm going to do this and we're going to pay off these 2 auto loans. Now, why the auto loans, right? Well, if I pay only 14 grand, I get about how much cash flow do I get? And in fact, I could probably just copy and paste this, right? Whoopsie. Well, not really. Let's see how much cash flow I get. I get $624 in cash flow. I pay 14 grand, get $624 in cash flow. Would I rather do that or pay 26 grand to get $371 in cash flow? Right? That makes sense? So you want more bang for your buck and you want to pay the mortgage last because it's 187,000 for only 843 bucks of your cash flow. Okay? You got to think of it like that, right? The interest rate is not the only thing that determines the payment. The original balance and the term, right? It was what determines it. Now people will say, well, this is so good because you borrow a lot of money and the payment's so low. Yeah. Ask anybody who's ever done an income-based repayment program where they thought like having a low payment was a good idea. The trade-off for having a low payment is that you pay a lot of interest. In fact, you pay a lot of interest up the wazoo, right? Because if this ever goes to 30 years and you just add a zero, 360 months, look at all the interest you pay, 103 grand. 103 grand, even on a 3% loan, okay? So let's go ahead and go back and pay off, okay, this 14 grand of interest. 14 grand of interest. All right. So, or not interest, in loans. 14 grand. Okay. So remember, we're paying off these two auto loans, 14 grand. And then, all right, 14 grand. We're going to do this, 14 grand plus 14213.25. And then now, okay, what happens here? These two auto loans are gone. It's 0, 0. And now we're almost at the $3,000 mark. You see, when we're doing things as the average American, we were literally just struggling. This is an overdraft fee that's going to be charged to us, right? This is how banks make money. They kind of like you being the negative, right? So they can charge you all those fees, overdraft, 27 bucks. At least that's what they charged me because I screwed up because I didn't time things right. But you want to be here where it's 0 or close to 0 and have this money go from negative to positive in an instant. Okay. So let's go ahead and do this and then just do this. And all right. So 2885.56. And then let's see how long it takes us to pay off those two auto loans. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's like 2.5 months, right? For each wow, that's amazing. 2.5. All right. Two and a half. I can't even think right now. It must be the velocity banking crack. But 2.5 months for each car, right? So, I mean, have you ever heard of paying off a car in about 2.5 months? It's amazing. All right. So let's go ahead and then go to 41 months. All right. So 41 months. And then this is going to be 72 plus 21 plus 12. And then this is going to be 105K. And then we're going to do this. All right. And then here, okay, so 35,000, right? At 5%. So let's just do this. 35,000 at 5%. This is now 0, these two, 0, 0. And where are we at right now? 41 months. 41, 41. All right. So 24 grand for $371 of cash flow. And we have a 5% interest rate. So just a quick caveat, if there's a huge interest rate spread between the loan and the line of credit, and you have a long term, right? So meaning a huge cash flow index number, it's generally not a good idea to move the whole thing into a line of credit. Okay. I have seen people promoting this on the internet, and I feel like that I'm the only one on the internet who's saying don't do that. Like, it's very hard to screw up velocity banking. Like, you could even do like a low interest rate loan, and as long as you just kind of pay off the debt, or throw all your money into the line of credit, you should be fine, right? But the only way that I know you could really screw this up is you take a 30-year mortgage with a very low interest rate, and there are a ton of you with low interest rate mortgages out there, and then move it into like an 8 to 10% line of credit. Now, if you have an investment loan that's like 7 to 8%, and then you move it to a 7 to 8% line of credit, no whooped. Like no, like maybe you might lose like, I don't know, the tax deduction on the interest because um uh again, I'm kind of overstepping my bounds here is because I'm not an accountant, but there is something called interest tracing, and what else is there? Right? Like if you're using a HELOC, right? If you're using a HELOC, I think there's more restrictions on whether something's tax deductible on HELOC or not because you have to use it for home repairs or something like that. I might be wrong. Okay, don't listen to me. I'm just a random crack dealer on the internet. But my point is this: if you go from an 8% loan to an 8% line of credit, and it's a 30-year mortgage, not a big deal. But if you go from a 3% to an 8, that's a big deal. Okay. So we have to consider the interest rate difference. And the safest way to deal with the interest rate difference is just using something called chunking, right? Which is you're just moving a loan, part of the loan into the line of credit, rinse and repeat over and over again. And let me just kind of show off the velocity banking calculator, demonstrate this. Give me one moment. All right, so let's go ahead and show it off. So what I'm going to do is show you. what can happen if you use even a 0% loan. Okay. And some people don't understand why I'm using a 0% loan because the 0% loan is the worst case scenario of what could happen if you use an 8% line of credit to pay it off. Right. That's why I'm using a 0% loan. Some people have literally commented on this channel that a 0% 30-year mortgage doesn't exist. Like, I'm not aware of that because they couldn't read through between the lines. Okay. But what I'm saying is that if even if you use a 0% loan, meaning that after 30 years, you literally pay no interest, but you decided to do this strategy because you're a moron, not really, because I love you. 555.56. All right. On a 0% loan, and let's go ahead and do this right here, which is I don't even know where I'm at. Yeah, $6,100 is our income. And what's our expenses? It is, we'll just say it's $2,000 for now. Make it easy. Okay. If you move this whole loan into the line of credit like the internet promotes, okay, let's go ahead and do that. You're going to pay 43 grand in interest and it's going to take you 5 years. Okay? And on the surface that doesn't look that bad. But you're overpaying 43 grand when you didn't have to, right? Now, the interest rate does matter, but it kind of doesn't when you use this thing called the chunking method. Meaning, you take a small chunk, we'll just say 6,500, move it into the line of credit. Even at a 0% loan, we're only overpaying by 1,500 when we use an 8% line of credit. So when people freak out about like, oh, it's an 8% line of credit. Oh my goodness, you're gonna ruin your life. I'm like, what are you talking about? This is just like a loan origination fee. You know what I mean? Like that's literally the cost of a loan origination fee. I think even less, right? So the whole point of this is that this chunking thing, for whatever reason, is resistant to the interest rate. In fact, I'm going to show you this. This is very shocking. I made a video about how a 30% credit card will beat the 8% first lien home equity line of credit. I do 30, $4,000 I overpay, even though it's a 30% credit card. But if I do an 8% first lien HELOC, 43 grand. See how that works? Yeah, they promote this on the internet, folks. It's disgusting. Listen, if you want to overpay me 43 grand, buy 2 Renatus education packages from me, right? Don't just buy one, buy 2, because I think the cost of a Renatus education package, which I'm promoting here, is actually 20 grand. Where do you think I learned this stuff from? Okay. So here's the thing. Okay. Click the Google form link below if you want to pay me 20 grand, about 20 grand, and then we'll go from there. Okay. I don't promise you any results. I possibly may be a cult leader or a crack dealer, and I get affiliate commission for any sales of product, and there's no guarantees of success. But here's the thing, at least I am telling you that with sound basis and math, that you shouldn't do a first lien HELOC. That first lien HELOC is a no bueno. Okay, buy a Tesla, right? Do a little chunk, and then just go ahead and buy yourself 2 Teslas or 2 cars, right? You're literally throwing money, burning it up and putting it in a dumpster fire when you do a first lien HELOC. You see what I mean? All right, so let me go ahead, and I know I spent too much time on that, but it's like, I don't, when people promote like really, really bad ideas, I'm like, all right, okay, so let's go ahead and do this. And now let's just chunk the student loan. So we'll just start off with that one. So I'm going to do this and then this and then this. And then, all right, so now what's the original balance? The original balance is, what is it? 35,000, 10 years, and then the payment amount is 371.23. All right. And then the interest rate is 5%, 5%, and then the current balance is 24945.25. 24945.25. And then what we do is just put on the expenses. Okay, the expenses is where's the expenses? Everything except for the loan we're trying to pay off. So it's 2843.21. So 2843.21. And then we'll blam, paid off that student loan in 0.7 years. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. Beautiful. 0.7 years. Velocity banking crack. 0. 41 plus 0.7 times 12, that's 50 months. And that'll be 140K. All right. So we did that. And then in mortgage, where am I even going? I don't even know where I'm going. All right. So let's do this. So this is now going to be 843.21. This is going to be $2,000, 30 years at 3%. And then this is going to be, what's the mortgage amount? $200,000, 200,000. The original balance is, what's the original balance? I don't even know. No, it's the current balance. So this is 0. And then we're at month 50, 181,745.21. 181,745.21. And look at that. 4 years paid off, 11 grand to interest. Sweet. Okay. And it's technically not 11 grand of interest because you have to account for the interest that we paid in the beginning, right? So we paid 23 grand when we're just making the monthly payment. So it's 23 plus 11, but it's not bad, right? Because we're focused on paying off all the other debts. And so now it's 4 years, and let's go here, and let's go here, and then this is going to be 50 divided by 12 plus 4, so this can be 8.17 years. Debt free. Debt. Okay. Debt free. All right, so now this is 0, and we have $4,100 of cash flow. So what do we do now? I just invest in real estate, I guess. Folks, you need to buy properties at a discount. So if you have a free and clear line of credit, or maybe not even a free and clear line of credit, maybe you could, I'm not saying you should, use a line of credit as a down payment for a home. Some lenders do actually allow that, right? $210,000 property, you need to buy it for, so here's what you got to do. You got to buy all real estate at a discount, right? That's the easiest way to wealth. $300,000 property for $200,000, $200,000 property for 100, $100,000 property for 30, right? That's what you got to do. That's where the wealth is made. So this is like a foundation of your own personal life, but then you got to take it up to the next step and then use it to pay off business loans, houses, debt that's used to generate income, right? Debt that's used to generate income. I got to find my 15 grand check that my tenant gave me. I got to find it. I used to like post pictures and I'm over it. But I still got to find it because I know some of you are fascinated. All right. Well, that's it, folks. You ever seen like those videos like, hey, pay off your mortgage in 7 to 10 years? We literally did it in 4. And by the way, if you don't know who I am, I paid off my mortgage in 2 years and 9 months. So people are like, that's not realistic. And I said, I never said it was. In fact, when I talk about this to other people, they don't even listen. They just run away. All right. We live in the matrix, folks. This is Korean Atlanta Mentorship. Have a great day, and I'll see you all in the next video.